Nigeria currently has over 3 million people living with HIV/AIDS. There are 25 million people infected with the disease in sub-Saharan Africa. Friends Africa, the non-governmental organization behind the campaign, aimed to test at least 5,000 people before World AIDS Day. Chief Executive Officer Ikemba Akudo says in the past year, Nigeria has seen a significant number of people seeking treatment and the rate of HIV/AIDS infections has gone from 5% last year to 4% this year.
Prevalence of the epidemic is not the highest in Africa. I mean, our prevalence is still around close to 4% or just under 4%, which, but because of the large number of people we have in Nigeria, that then gives us absolute numbers which are significant. But if you go to other countries in Southern Africa, you see where the epidemic is at 30% of their population, 20% of their population, some over 40%, and that's even much more concerning because you're talking about almost a third to a half of the population of the people.
Friends Africa also focuses on tackling the issue of stigmatization, which they hope will lead to fewer infections in Nigeria by 2015. A woman who requested her identity to be hidden is a volunteer caregiver in her community. In 2009, after her son battled a series of illnesses which she found out were caused by HIV, she discovered she too was positive, along with her husband, who she says has been very supportive. She says due to stigma in the West African country, she is not ready to disclose her status. She is 8 months pregnant with her 4th child and hopes that with increased awareness, stigma and prejudice towards people living with HIV/AIDS will decrease and enable her to open up to her family and friends.
We talk about HIV, we do tests, we counsel people. So when I'm doing that at home, people will be looking at me as this woman said, what is HIV? So that's why I'm thinking if they even know that I have fitting up, they will do more than as they are doing. We will tell people, come and do HIV test. So we are doing it. So they say, HIV, God forbid. I will not have it. No magic. So that's why my neighbors did not know.
Another non-governmental organization, Jakin, was set up in a Lagos suburb to provide free HIV/AIDS testing, counseling and psychosocial support for those living with the disease. The organization has 400 volunteers spread throughout the state and holds a monthly support group meeting for people living with HIV/AIDS. The president of Jakin says there are many challenges affecting the fight against HIV/AIDS.
The needs out there are much more than what is coming in, and you have so many factors, reducing your own possibility of getting the funding. You have corruption there, you have the perception of even the giver, you have, let me use the word competition, because you have so many NGOs set up by different people.
Akudo stressed that there are problem areas that the awareness campaigns still have to reach.
These new infections are coming as a result of hotspots where the message has not reached. So places, rural areas, places where there's still lack of awareness, populations that are kind of isolated from the general population also, certain populations where there's high-risk sex happening, whether it's the commercial sex workers or men who have sex with men. These are hotspots of the epidemic where the message needs to get there.
According to UNAIDS, there is a $3 to $5 billion shortfall in the annual $22 to $24 billion needed to turn the tide against HIV/AIDS. Funding from international donors for AIDS has flatlined, compounded by the fact that a majority of African governments are also not meeting their commitments to spend 15% of their budgets on health.